Hello students, welcome to Biology Lab Online. My name is Maggie. I'm going to take you on a tour of the course. If you were in lecture, you still need to watch this video because this class, although similar, has different assignments. But the basic format of my Canvas site is the same. So here on the home page, we are showing a welcome wiki page, and we are also showing our recent announcements. So on the first day of class, I want you to go in and click every page and read it. Get a good sense of what we're doing here. Then introduce yourself in the student introductory discussion and let me know if you have questions or have a planned absence or event during this semester. We will work that out schedule-wise. So now let's go to the announcements. You can always click on announcements here, and these are just showing ones that were posted for me or that will be posted to you starting tomorrow. Announcements are very important, therefore I have them going to your phone if you have the Canvas app on there. The syllabus is right here. The syllabus I sent you before is largely accurate, although I found a few mistakes. So this one loaded into the course is the final version. You might want to print this out. And then notice down here we have our course schedule. I also have the course schedule replicated in weekly announcements. So they'll pop up at the beginning of the week and show you what you should be doing during that week's time. Now, the way this class is set up is that we're always talking about the lab that we're doing, even though we're doing them independently or with one lab partner. So in the first week, we'll introduce ourselves, and then there's a classroom discussion forum that's always open, so you can ask questions. But of interest right now, this is where I want you to work on finding a lab partner if you want one. I tried to do that via email, but there was no way with FERPA and other guidelines for me to initiate an email among you, the students, outside of Canvas. So you'll have plenty of time to do this here, and make sure you do it early this week so that we can get a move on and you don't miss the first lab deadline. Now, let's look at the modules. So the very first thing to do in the class is take the safety quiz. If you miss this deadline, there's a bunch of hoops that we have to go through to solve that problem. So just take the quiz. You can take it as many times as you want. This is basically just making sure that you will operate in a safe way, and this is an artifact from the in-class labs. So it might not be perfectly aligned, but it is a requirement and you need to get it done to be able to stay in the class. Here are some extra resources for you from Uccs. Now, here are those discussions we were just talking about. Now, this first page, it's just all the information you need to succeed in this assignment. The rubric included. Now in lecture, I expect you to make 3 reply posts, but here you only need to make 2. I'm saying this twice, so that's why I'm saying it first. Now let's look at this. You're going to make an original post, but in these original posts for lab class, you're going to answer very specific questions. You won't be able to see anyone else's post until you answer the questions. That gives everyone a fair shake at the questions, regardless of when they enter the discussion. I want you to read the labs. When you finish one lab, read the next one so you have something to write about in discussion, so you know what's going on, and so you can ask questions. So when we get here to reply posts, like if someone is asked a question about the lab, you can answer it. That gives you something to do in your reply post, okay? And then, of course, you're also going to help people to understand just by adding information. This is really helpful if people from lecture take the lead here and answer those questions as thoroughly as they can, because there are a few people who are in lab and not in lecture, so they don't get the benefit of all that background information. So going back here, you need to make at least 2 posts to your peers on 2 different days during a week in lab class. In lecture class, that's 3 posts. Now, These posts right here, when I say textbook, I'm just talking about the manual, the lab manual. We're going to look at that in just a second. So here we move past discussions, and your other major assignment in this class is labs. Here is a wiki page, notice. You're going to purchase a lab kit for this class. You can work alone, you can work with one partner. Use the classroom discussion forum to find a partner. If you have a partner, I want you to write a reflection essay in addition to submitting the worksheet, which you will have done together. And this, all students, whether you have a partner or not, you have to submit a photo with your lab. Every single lab, it's a selfie of you and your lab partner, if you have one, using the lab equipment, doing the lab. This shows me that you did the work, not someone else. It authenticates our process. So, you order your lab kit, and then you go in here to our lab classroom, okay? So, in here, you can create an account for yourself. If you've already had a class that's online, you might be able to sign in here first, and then you can submit this, use that class code up here. If you don't use the code and you just sign in, you won't have the labs linked up to your account for this particular class. So once you're in there, you're going to see here, Fall 1060, and there are a series of lessons, okay? And when you go into the first lesson here, I need to reorganize these, sorry for that. You go into the lesson, you get an idea for how much time it's going to take to complete the lab. Here are the learning objectives for the lab. And then see, the exploration is like your textbook. It's the information you need to complete the lab. So you need to go through this whole thing. And after you get through all of that, you'll go into the experimentation phase. And the experimentation documents actually tell you exactly what to do. It goes all through it. It's really helpful, as I mentioned before, that you read this after you complete a lab so that you know what you need for the next lab. So, like, for example, for this lab, you need a box of toothpicks. Maybe you don't have a box of toothpicks, but if you know this, it's highly likely that you're going to encounter toothpicks somewhere as you're moving about campus or going out to restaurants or whatever. Or you go buy some toothpicks, okay? Paper towels, like you need them maybe from your dorm bathroom. You don't need your own roll. You need a piece of paper. These are not difficult things to round up, but you do have to round them up. So make sure you look at this ahead of time. And then what is in your lab kit? All of these things right here, okay? Now, one of the biggest mysteries for some students is unpacking the lab kit. So as soon as you get it, actually lay it all out. See if you can find all the information and all the material, because if you're missing something and you don't realize that until the lab is due, then you have a problem that we cannot fix. But if you have already looked at it and you say, hey man, there's no test tube cleaning brush inside of my lab kit, we can contact the lab kit company and get that sent out to you in short order. Then finally, you'll go into the evaluation phase. And here is where you will fill out this report I spoke of. And you will answer the questions. And then you will download that report and you will email it to me. You will email it to me through the Dropbox here in Canvas. So you'll find the appropriate Dropbox, you'll submit the PDF file that you downloaded from the lab website, okay? That's the labs. That's the lab story. Let's go back to modules. There are a few other little things that we will take care of in the time of this semester. So at some point, you need to write a lab report. By November 5th, 17th, you need to have your first lab report draft written. This means that, you can't write your lab report on the last 4 labs. Or actually, it's just the last 2 labs because, as you can see here, we are done our lab work on December 1st, just as we're done the quizzes on December 1st. And then you could do these extra credit labs. My point is simply that if for some reason you really, really, really want to write your lab report about this last lab spread of contagion, then you could ask me for an extension on this first draft. But this is done so that you have this out of the way before Thanksgiving break, okay? Then you get my feedback, you fix things up for the final draft, and you submit that by the last day of the class, but realize that the major work is done before Thanksgiving, okay? Finally, there are lab quizzes. The lab quizzes occur towards the end of the little units for the labs, and you see that they cover several labs. These are very simple, very short labs. You'll have 2 attempts, and the highest grade will be retained. And the quiz will appear 1 week before the due date. Okay? So, that's that. I hope that doesn't look too scary. Some people think online lab classes are a very scary thing, but I think they're really fun. And the alternative is you come to campus and you stay in the lab on campus for 3 hours, and no one really likes to do that either. That I know because I also teach in the classroom. Oh, sorry about that. So, that was my phone telling me that was enough, 12 minutes. If you've watched this video, leave me a little comment in the YouTube section, comments, so that I know you watched it, so that when you ask me a question, I can go see if you watched the welcome video before I answer your question. Have a lovely evening, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.